So as we all know, the Mariners have a pretty significant recent trade history with 3 of the 5 NL West teams. And coming up on today's show, we're going to run down the rosters of the Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks, as well as the Dodgers and Rockies to determine if another deal or two can be on the way this winter. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors, and it's Thursday, November 13th, 2025. This is Ty Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, we'll tell you who the best trade fits are for the Mariners on the Dodgers, Rockies, Diamondbacks, Padres, and Giants. Plus, we have some more Mariners coaching news and a few other notes to go over in the final segment of today's show. Before we get into our trade preview, though, I want to shout out our title sponsor today, FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. All right, so we're in the National League portion of our trade preview series. We completed the AL yesterday with a look at the AL East. Let's kick things off here in the NL West with the defending champs, the back-to-back champs, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who obviously they're going to look to three-peat 2026. So I can't imagine that they will be looking to trade many pieces off of their major league roster or their 40-man in general. But is there anyone that you think might be an exception to that, Colby?
There's a few guys. Obviously, this isn't a talent issue when you're talking about the Dodgers roster. It's a trade fit issue. And obviously, the Dodgers and the Mariners are going for the same thing next year, we hope. So, you know, there are some road bumps that are going to be kind of hard to ignore. The one thing that could change this is if the Mariners do think about trading Randy Arozarena. I think the Dodgers are a really good fit for that, and they have lots of, you know, young major leaguer or like major league adjacent talent that they could offer the Mariners. And, you know, one of those guys being like Alex Freeland, who could be your third baseman this year. He's ready to get a lengthy look in the big leagues. Dalton rushing is blocked by Will Smith. He'd be blocked by Cal Raleigh here, but he also has some, you know, corner outfield experience. So he just might be the Randy replacement there, but you'd be going young in left field. But I don't think the Mariners are going to trade Randy this winter. So those guys probably don't make a ton of sense unless there's some kind of weird, like, you know, Felman Celestin for Alex Freeland prospect swap, where one guy's really close, but one guy's further away but has a higher ceiling, maybe something like that. But on their major league roster, or, you know, guys who have a lot of major league experience, Max Muncy makes a lot of sense for Seattle. I don't think it makes much sense for the Dodgers to trade him. However, 1 year, $10 million. He's an okay third baseman who hits a lot of home runs, walks a lot, strikes out a lot. You know, very Geno, honestly, but from the left side. Not quite as much power as Geno, but still plenty of power. Then there's just some bullpen arms. Gatterall, pretty interesting dude. Missed a lot of time with injuries, but big time stuff, heavy sinker, a profile that Seattle typically likes quite a bit. Ben Casparius is a guy that I like quite a bit. He started a little. He's been out of the bullpen since joining the Dodgers. Had a great first couple of months, and then he really struggled down the stretch, and it got so bad he didn't even make the World Series roster. And then, you know, a lefty that's pretty interesting, only 1 year left on his contract, Alex Vesia, very good quality lefty, who would pair nicely with Gabe Spire. So there are a few guys there, but, you know, again, there's not a ton that, I mean, unless there is some kind of surprise where Seattle is trading Matt Brash or Andres Munoz, and they're getting like two of these young relievers that the Dodgers have that are really good and like a good prospect, or they're trading Randy Arozarena, then maybe there might be a deal here. But I don't see anything that the Mariners are going to get without, you know, giving up a big player on their major league roster. And I don't think that's something Seattle wants to do, particularly right now when they have to replace 3 players already from their starting 9. So yeah, I don't see a ton here on the Dodgers.
Yeah, it really feels like if there's a trade made between these two teams, a significant one, to be clear, that it would be something like Randy Arozarena heading to LA rather than the Mariners buying something from LA. And given the messaging that we've heard from the club so far and just what's been reported about the club's intentions this winter, it doesn't seem like that's a real possibility. So, yeah. All right. Let's move on here to the Colorado Rockies. So the Mariners did quite a lot of work on specifically on their bullpen leading up to the trade deadline. They didn't wind up swinging a deal. This is one of the 3 teams that Jerry Dipoto still hasn't made a trade with during his tenure with the Seattle Mariners, which again is now a decade long. So that's kind of crazy to not make a trade with a team for at least a decade. I don't know the last time the Mariners and Rockies actually swung a trade. If you guys know, let us know in the comments below. Do you know?
Was Jeff Cirillo a trade?
I thought he was a free agent.
I think he was traded for like Jose Paniagua. That was back in
Really?
like 03, 04.
Oh, really?
I'm sure there's been a smaller trade that were Seth Smith came over from
San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Brandon Maurer.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one for a minute. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So it all starts here with Juan Mejia. He was one of the bigger names that was linked to the Mariners leading up to the deadline. He had a very good year. Just 25 years old, 3.96 ERA, a lot of red on his Baseball Savant page. But there's also guys like Seth Halverson and Jimmy Herget and Victor Vodnik. Some options in the bullpen for sure. Anyone else on this roster, or just the bullpen guys stand out to you?
Yeah. It's just the bullpen guys, like you mentioned. I'll throw a name out there. I don't think he's on the move, and I don't know if the Mariners would even have interest in him. But Brenton Doyle would be a really fascinating guy. Doesn't hit a ton, but he is an elite center fielder defensively. And the fact that he doesn't hit a ton, even though he plays half his games at Coors Field, not great. Now, he hit fine last year. This year, he was just bad. And so which one is the real Brenton Doyle? I don't know. But that's a guy the Rockies have talked about trying to extend recently. So
I mean, considering he was a 44 WRC plus bat in 126 games in 2023 and a 65 WRC plus bat in 138 games in 2025, I think we know which one might be the outlier here.
Right. So it's unfortunate, but there's just not a lot here outside the bullpen. And there are a lot of bullpen arms that make a lot of sense for Seattle. Ironically enough, you go to the Colorado Rockies, it's the pitching that you want off of this roster. And it's, like you said, it's Halverson, it's Mejia, it's Vodnik, it's Herget.
Yeah.
It's really those 4 guys is what you're looking at. And then there's not a lot else on this team unless, again, you want to take a shot on Brenton Doyle. I mean, I don't know. Maybe like Tolia. Maybe they'll sell low on him. I doubt it, though. So it
like
really
maybe
is
Tyler Freeman, who was really bad defensively in the outfield, but he's got an option left. He's a guy that doesn't really strike out, puts the ball in play a lot. Maybe that's someone they look at.
Maybe a Dylan Moore replacement. But yeah, for the Rockies, it's the bullpen arms. And there are several options here. So I think it's possible they might swing a deal.
Mejia is the guy that I have circled here for the Mariners specifically. I think he's very similar to like the Gregory Santos idea for them.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Herget had the best year.
Mm-hmm.
Halverson might have the most upside, but Mejia does feel very Gregory Santos. And by the way, I just looked it up. The last trade made between the Mariners and the Rockies was in April of 2013. I believe that is a longer drought than the Angels. I believe the Angels made the Kendrys and Vargas swap in the winter of 2013. But that trade occurred on April 11th, and the Mariners traded right-handed pitcher Aaron Harang to the Rockies for Steven Hensley. That was the last trade the 2 teams made 12 years ago.
All right, well, we are going to look at the rosters of the Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks, the 3 teams that the Mariners have traded with the most in this division over the last few years in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen, and also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We're doing our NOS trade preview. Just talked about the Dodgers and the Rockies. Let's talk a little bit about the San Diego Padres. Now, some big news coming out about the Padres today that they might be looking to sell the team. And we've already heard some rumblings about them wanting to lower payroll this winter. So maybe there are some opportunities here for the Mariners. Now, we've talked a lot about them with regards to trading Luis Castillo to them, especially over on our Patreon when we've been discussing our offseason plan. But outside of that, I mean, do you see an opportunity here for the Mariners to just outright buy something for the Mariners or from the Padres?
Sure. I think a guy like Jake Cronenworth continues to make sense for this ball club. I think, obviously the long-termness, the years on the contract aren't great, but he's only making like $12 million a year. He's a good player. He's one of the more underrated players still in baseball, and he'd be a big upgrade to your defense at second base. If they do trade Luis Castillo somewhere and they're looking for kind of a number 5 starter, JP Sears is probably available, and he's pretty cheap, which is fine. But there are 3 guys in the bullpen that would be very nice to have if you were the Mariners, and they're all making a little bit of money, so they might be available, and that is Adrian Morejon. It would be Wandy Peralta, the lefty, and then Jeremiah Estrada. Morejon only has 1 year of club control left, and he's coming off of a 2-win reliever season.
Yeah.
So kind of tough to judge his value. It feels like the Padres would want an elite contract, but we've heard some rumblings that like the Mariners want to go out and add like a high leverage arm this winter and a left-handed reliever to help Gabe Spire out. Well, Morejon is both of those things, at least based on what he did last year. So I think he would be interesting. Wandy Peralta is more of just the second lefty, which is fine. I mean, he's solid. He's fine. He's making about, I think, $4 million, give or take. Estrada, I think, is R1. I forgot to write that down, but I'm pretty sure he's R1. Anyways, all 3 of those guys would help the bullpen. Estrada and Morejon more high leverage options, whereas Wandy Peralta is kind of more of a middle bridge guy. But yeah, all 3 of those guys are interesting. They just picked up his option, but Ramon Laureano is going to make $6 to $8 million. I think it's 6. And he is a really good fit for what the Mariners could use on this roster. He's a right-handed bat that could come off the bench if you need to. He also pretty high chance he's going to be the everyday right fielder. So pushes either Canzone or Robles to a bench role where they belong. His contract is totally reasonable. You get him for a year. Again, it's so reasonable that the Padres might not even want to move him, but it does sound like they do need to shed payroll. And so while they probably would love to dump Machado or Bogarts on somebody, not going to happen. So they're going to have to trade Cronenworths or the Morejon, who's ARB3 or Laureano. They're going to have to kind of nickel and dime their way to savings here. So that's a guy to watch. And then I'll throw him on here because I don't think he's getting traded this year, but might as well. If Fernando Tatis Jr. were to hit the open market, the Mariners should be heavily involved in that trade market. Again, I would put the odds of them even shopping Tatis at about 1%. So I wouldn't spend too much time thinking about it, but just throw him out there just because, again, the Padres do kind of need to shed payroll, and he's the one guy on a mega contract that other teams might actually be interested in. So just, store that away, probably more in like 2 or 3 years. But there's quite a bit on this Padres team, especially if they are, desperate to shed some payroll this winter.
The San Francisco Giants, Colby. Don't see much here.
I see very little here.
This is definitely a potential Luis Castillo destination.
It is, until the whole part where it's like, okay, what do you get for Castillo? And unless you're like fully salary dumping him, which I still don't know. Like if the Mariners were to trade, quick tangent here, if the Mariners were to trade Luis Castillo this winter, I don't know if they could get like legit number 3 value for him, or if they could just literally just have to eat the salary and make a Gino Suarez trade. I don't know. Unfortunately, San Francisco doesn't have a ton to really give Seattle that I like. I only came up with 2 names. That would make sense as anything more than just like a salary dump type of trade here. I came up with Casey Schmidt to kind of be the new utility guy. Although right now he's, I believe, slated to be the second baseman for the Giants. So maybe not. I guess to a lesser extent than Tyler Fitzgerald might also come into play here. And the only other guy I found that was interesting was Ryan Walker, who had a bit of a fallback year this year, but really fun guy to watch. Would definitely fill kind of the high leverage role that the Mariners are looking to add this winter. But also, the Giants are delusional and they think they're 1 or 2 players away from being on the level of even the Padres, let alone the Dodgers. So I kind of doubt that they would move, anybody off their major league roster. But their farm system outside of Bryce Eldridge is trash. So I don't see how they get anybody good enough for them to. I mean, look, we're not on Locked On Giants, but that organization is poorly run. I'm just going to say it. Their baseball ops is bad. But anyways, there's not a ton here. And again, short of dumping Luis Castillo to get rid of most or all of his contract, I don't see a way where the Mariners and the Giants line up all that well on a trade of any significance. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they trade Ryan Walker for a couple prospects. I don't know, but probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This roster needs a lot of work. And the bullpen, they already traded Doval to the Yankees at the deadline. Randy Rodriguez just underwent Tommy John surgery. So Ryan Walker's now the guy. So that could go one of 2 ways, right? Are they like, well, this bullpen's already a mess, let's just trade him? Or do you kind of feature him and hope that maybe he has a little bit better of a better year? Because again, like you said, it was a little bit of a down year for him this year. Maybe he has a bounce back. He gets featured more as the closer and all that in the bullpen, blah, 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 blah. And then they trade him at the deadline. Or, they think they're going to be competitive. And that's just we just want Ryan Walker on the team, whatever. So,
the Giants pitching staff as a whole is a joke.
It's Logan Webb, it's Robbie Ray, and then it's
literally nothing.
Yeah.
So, they should be tearing things down. But even the players that would make sense for the Mariners in a vacuum, they're in the early stages of massive contracts. Matt Chapman, Lee, Devers, there's just not a lot here.
Yeah, so we'll see. All right, so the Arizona Diamondbacks, lastly, the team that the Mariners have made the most trades with out of anyone in this division, obviously made 2 very big trades with at the deadline for Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor. And we talked a lot about Ketel Marte already this week. And, again, there's rumors flying about his availability and, his 10-5 rights are coming up soon in April. So Diamondbacks possibly wanting to get out ahead of that, of him securing a full no trade clause and, trying to, get a haul for him because they absolutely could. He's one of the best players in baseball. Outside of Marte, because again, we've already talked about him ad nauseum this week. Anyone else stands out to you on this roster? Because this should be a team that is like trading players away off their major league roster.
Yeah, they kind of need a quick reset here. They have a lot of young talent in the infield, so this might not be a full teardown. Like, I don't think they all of a sudden need to trade Corbin Carroll, but hey, if they want to, let me know. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, it's Alec Thomas or Jake McCarthy as kind of a fourth outfielder. It's Kevin Ginkel if you want to try for a bounce back year out of him. Eduardo Rodriguez if you trade Luis and you can't find a cheaper, replacement, maybe he's a guy, but there's really not a ton here. They sold a lot of it, at the deadline, and they were rentals anyway, so they wouldn't be part of this discussion. And a lot of their other interesting guys got hurt. Some of their bullpen pieces got hurt. So just not a ton here for the Mariners. Perdomo doesn't make any sense. They just signed him to an extension anyways. Lawler is a big part of their future, they think. So they're going to roll with him probably as their everyday third baseman.
Well, and also on Perdomo, like, even if you were interested, even if they were willing to trade him, would you really want to buy after his 7-win season, which is probably an outlier for him? Like, he's a good player. And he's had another really good year under his belt, but it wasn't a 7-win, like, fringe MVP caliber season.
No. I mean, outside of this season, he's largely been JP Crawford.
Yeah, he's like a 3 to 4 win shortstop. Yeah. That's who he is. I don't want to pay. Yeah, I don't want to pay 7-win prices, No,
he's a very good player. And also, the Mariners are going to make way for Colt. Colt Emerson will be the team's starting shortstop, probably starting 2027 for as long as he's under contract, at least for the next, first 6-7 years of his career. So trading for Perdomo, whose big part of his value is the shortstop aspect, coming off of a huge year, and then having all those years of club control after, when you could just have this kind of clean break. JP plays out his contract this year. Emerson takes over next year. Boom. It works out very cleanly. So I Perdomo not available, and also just not a tremendous fit for Seattle. You can make it work. I mean, obviously, if the price is good, then you can make it work. But if you're the Diamondbacks, you'd be kind of stupid to trade him for anything less than a 7-win player right now. Like, that's what you should ask for. Like, you should ask for Logan Gilbert for Perdomo. You should ask for, honestly, you might ask for Logan Gilbert for Ketel Marte. Yeah. Outside of Ketel Marte, there's just not a lot here that I think they would actually move that the Mariners would have interest in. So, yeah, Diamondbacks are in kind of a weird spot right now. They want to shed some payroll, but they only really have one guy who can do it because Burns is hurt. I mean, maybe they can find a taker for Eduardo Rodriguez. They're not trading Corbin Carroll, although they could get an absolute haul for Corbin Carroll. And he's a Seattle guy.
Sure. Yeah.
So maybe. But it's Ketel Marte, and then it's a whole lot of like, maybe type of guys.
Yeah. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone, and on there we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. So that does it for our trade preview of the NL West. We'll do the NL Central and NL East at some point next week. We also got to mix in our offseason plan in there and all that stuff. So maybe no top 5 Tuesday next week, but we'll let you guys know. All right. So want to wrap up here on some quick Mariners news and notes. The GM meetings are obviously underway right now. The media got to talk with Justin Hollander yesterday. Ryan Divish put out an article on the Seattle Times last night. With an interesting note there at the end, in the final line of the article, saying that the Mariners have been able to successfully retain both Pete Woodworth and Trent Blank. The Mariners, as far as I'm aware, there was legit concern that they could lose both of those guys. And Hollander yesterday did talk about that there will be some coaching changes, and that he kind of alluded to maybe the possibility that Andy McKay is the only guy that has gotten a job elsewhere. He said that they're going to wait for other teams to make those announcements before they say anything. But it's possible that he might have been also talking about Tony Arnrich, because again, Austin Nola is now the bullpen coach. That was Tony Arnrich's job. Maybe Tony Arnrich has a job elsewhere. But the great news here, though, is that both Pete Woodworth and Trent Blank are back. They're staying put. Because those guys have just been so instrumental to the success of this pitching staff for so long. And so, keeping that continuity is a massive, massive deal. So that's great. Yep. Tonight, of course, is the MVP results. We'll get the MVP results. Yeah. This is why I'm bringing this up. Bob Nightingale, our favorite. He's the president of the Baseball Writers Association of America. He tweeted, the official BBWAA MVP winners will be announced at 7 Eastern tonight on MLB Network, with Shohei Ohtani expected to unanimously win the NL MVP award and Aaron Judge expected to narrowly beat out Cal Raleigh for the AL MVP and the most debated award. That's the president of the association that votes on these things, saying that Aaron Judge is expected to narrowly beat out Cal Raleigh. Now, let me remind you, he also basically spoiled the Manager of the Year vote. I think he also spoiled the Cy Young vote last night. So I think Bob Nightingale just told us what's going to happen tonight, and there's no reason for us to watch.
Yeah, I mean, probably not much of a reason to watch anyways, but whatever. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you guys. It's November, okay? We're in a sports dark spot right now, but personally, I'd rather watch Patriots Jets than an MLB award ceremony, but whatever. We don't call him Boo Nightingale for no reason. And the fact that, the baseball writers elected this guy as their spokesperson, essentially, tells you a lot about the respect I have for that chapter of baseball minds, let's say. We'll see where the vote totals come out. I thought for a while Judge was going to win, especially in September when they just kept on moving the goalpost on Cal. Every time he had a home run, he had to hit another one to really clinch it, and then he'd hit it. And no, it's one more, and then
he beats Mantle's record, and then he beats Mantle's record. Well, once he beats Griffey's record, he beat Griffey's record. Well, once he gets to 60,
I mean, if he hits 60, you have to give it to him. Then he hit to 60, and it's like, well, I mean, maybe if he breaks Judge's record, So again, not surprised. Judge, the Yankee. We'll see how close it is. One other thing I'm actually more looking forward to than the result that I expect. If Cal wins, great. I mean, that's obviously the story, but I'm looking to see where Julio finishes. Yeah. Brian Wu finished 5th.
That's awesome.
In Cy Young voting. That's awesome. Well earned. I think Julio has a shot to finish 5th in MVP voting. We know the top 3. I think Bobby Witt Jr. is probably number 4. So I think Julio has a pretty good shot to finish 5th. But if he finishes in the top 10, which I would say is almost a certainty, he'll be one step closer to hitting the next escalator in his big, massive 10-year team option that's coming up in 3 years. 4 top 10 finishes, and his option jumps up another $20 million. That option has to be decided on after the 2028 season. It doesn't begin until 2030. But top 5 finishes, I believe this would be his second top 5 finish, if I'm not mistaken. And that could also trigger something as well if he finishes 5th. So there are some.
If he gets 4 top 5 finishes, it jumps up to 10 years, $350 million.
Right.
He either needs 2 wins or 4 top 5 finishes. He could also, with 1 win and 1 top 5 vote, or 3 top 5 votes, 8 years, $280 million.
Right. Tonight he'll get his 3rd top 10 finish. He needs 4 to hit the next escalator. So. That one's,
which is 8 years, 260. Yeah.
Right. And that option has to be determined after the 2028 season. So you still have 3 more seasons before you have to pick up that option or decline it. It's a very complicated contract, but the MVP finishes do dictate quite a bit for Julio. So there's actually a big difference tonight for Julio if he finishes 11th versus if he finishes 10th versus if he finishes 5th. If he finishes 7th, that's a lot different than 5th. If he finishes 11th, that's a lot different than 10th, even though in reality they're not. For him, it is. So we'll see where he finishes, but I do think he has a legit shot to finish 5th. I think the top 4 are pretty much locked in stone.
All right, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Colby, Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez, Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.